Hello, everyone, wherever you are watching this podcast or wherever you're going to be listening to this podcast. We want to say hi. And we are so happy to start our very first episode, The Point of View, with you. I have myself, Obelle and GV.
What's going on, y'all? Man, this has been in the work for such a long time now. I
Yes.
feel like we've been really working on this for just 3 months now.
A little bit more.
Or yeah, probably. It was towards the end of 2019 that we started putting in the work. But as you know, I wanted this to be a product of quality.
Yeah.
So we've been actually, secretly sort of recording a few episodes, and then, of course, life situation happens where we needed to really do an episode like today and launch it. And it's kind of like it's on a sad note.
Yeah, pretty
But
much.
it's kind of fitting,
Mhm.
if I were to be launching such an important project, to be launching it in that way. So I just felt like it's only right that we started this off with this specific topic.
Yes, for sure. Like you said, it is in a sad note, but I am so happy that we get to actually start it that way because this is gonna really be something important, I believe, for a lot of people to kind of like learn. And obviously, as you can see, we're wearing our Kobe shirts. So I wanna start by saying, what do you think this podcast is going to be about? First of all, like, what do you want to tell our audience about this the purpose of this podcast?
Well, the point of view project is I know a project that you kind of like talk me into I'm doing honestly. Um but as we we kind of dove into the conversation, I realized, what? I kind of see how I can use this project to really um, touch on, a few things that I've, always either wanted to do or share with other people. And that is, you know, I guess sharing um, my life, the lesson that I've learned throughout my life, throughout, various experiences, and also helping people really shape their point of view and shape the future.
Yeah, like you said, guys, it was hard work. I mean, like you said, I tried to talk them into it, but honestly, I feel like we kind of already had a podcast on our own. It was just like closed door because we have those conversations where I'm like, man, a lot of people need to hear this. Like most of the time when we talk, I feel like I always end up saying a lot of people need to hear this.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it
yeah.
was important for me to feel like, sometimes we have to kind of like share our point of views with the world and see how they can benefit from it, and also be, also open ear to their point of view and see how we can also benefit from theirs. So I think this podcast, the point of view, is supposed to basically allow us to share our views and, things that we've learned, which obviously it's not going to always be perfect and pretty, but it's going to be things that people can probably relate to and probably feel differently about, and also would like to share, and we can exchange our different thoughts and, see where we can actually grow. The most important thing to me is basically doing this with purpose of helping shape people's growth, not not shape them who they are as a person necessarily, but helping us individuals grow in whatever areas that we need to. So with that being said, let's just get into it. It is very sad that we did lose. It's obvious that we are in this devastated time where we've lost a legend, and it is obvious that a lot of people know you to be a Kobe's fan, and
Wow.
it's kind of like, if you know GV, I used to call Kobe your daddy. I call Kobe
That's
his
true.
daddy. That's what I used to do. So
True.
I know it's a very sad situation, but I want you to kind of share with us, why did you become such a fan of his?
So, yeah, well, before I even dive into answering your question, let me say this: since the incident happened a couple weeks ago now, I feel like I've been stuck into that denial stage of grieving. The reason why I say that, the first, obviously, when I heard the news, I was complete disbelief and shock, and then it was a lot of emotion after that. Um, for the better part of Sunday afternoon and Monday as well, and then Tuesday morning till now, I've been with absolutely no emotion, and that is fine because that's how I handle really hardship or why not. But my only issue with how I'm feeling right now is that in my brain right now, nothing actually happened
Wow. Yeah.
till today. Nothing actually happened. I thought the first game the Lakers play after that would have done it for me.
Yeah.
I've sat down and watched Shaquille O'Neal interview at Staples Center when they did that little show. Nothing. I sat and watched Jerry West. Nothing. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's and this morning I was at work and I received a notification that Kobe was actually buried on the 7th, and
He was buried. Yeah.
it's
And it
still
didn't.
nothing for me.
Yeah.
So
It's sad that it's sad to say that this had to it
so
happened the way it did.
but I guess just going through the story of how we got here kind of will show you guys, I guess, explain why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. So I was introduced by to basketball in general by to watching Kobe. So my older brother would put on the NBA game. We were little boys. Um, Fun story, because the games were so late, especially the Laker home games.
Mm-hmm.
We would have to stay up late at night to watch those games. But we were kids, so we're supposed to be in bed to go to school the next day. So what we would do, we would all get up. Well, it was my elder brother, and I. My little brother was so little, he wanted to sleep, so we would wake him up because we needed his presence, and this is why we needed all three of us to be in front of the TV. That way, the light doesn't shine through uh, um down the house, so my parents could see that the TV was on. So we
Yeah.
all would stand right in front of the TV and watching NBA games. And so that's how I started watching Kobe and Shaq. Um, and then obviously I started, watching and learning more about basketball. So the first thing that got my interest watching Kobe was that my biggest pet peeve about basketball player, because I was a soccer player, was that basketball was too cute.
Yeah.
I felt like,
Hey,
yeah,
listen, I played basketball in high
yeah,
school.
but
And
it feels like,
there's nothing
yeah, these
cute
guys aren't really
about
tough.
shaking somebody.
No, but my
Getting to the
perception, as
basket.
a little boy, I'm like, man, soccer is so tough. You guys
Yeah.
are just playing for the ladies and why not? So watching Kobe and seeing how hard he was going, I'm like,
Yeah.
see, if everybody was playing like that, I would watch basketball.
Wow.
So then I decided I'm gonna watch this dude.
Yeah.
Because I feel like he's actually playing sport. Everybody else is kind of just like doing the fancy little jumper. This dude is going hard. I like that.
Yeah.
So I respected Kobe from, his intensity. Because
Yeah.
to me,
Mhm.
he was approaching the game the right way, because I felt like basketball was too cute. But anyway, not to make this too long,
Mhm.
obviously I became a Laker fan, and I remember the first really, because I'll watch like a few games here and there.
Mhm.
But 2009, when we run against the Magic, I remember I watched most of those games to the whole playoff. Really, it was against Denver, Kobe against Melo,
Mhm.
against the Rockets, against when we went against Tracy McGrady and Yao Ming. And I remember us, obviously going against Dwight Howard and really winning an easy one. So that's when I really, really got, into, watching the Lakers religiously. And of course, 2010 was, whew, that was it for me. Actually, no, it started since 2008, really. 2008, when we lost Super Bowl, because I remember that game five.
Yeah.
So I remember watching the 2008 finals, and so that got me interested into follow going to into the 2009 season. That's when I was really invested into watching the whole season
Mhm.
and watching the playoff and whatnot, and we ended up winning. And so obviously, like I say, basketball was introduced to me by watching Kobe, so that was my favorite athlete.
Yeah.
But
So what
um,
exactly um that's obviously a lot of for a lot of people where they kind of I would say a lot of people would share that same thought where they started actually watching basketball and realize, oh, this dude is pretty great. I remember for me, like watching basketball, I used to be like, why is he always hugging the ball, but then he always makes the shot? So it's like there's nothing really you can complain about because he actually got the job done. But I want us to go a little bit deeper because I feel like people, because you can kind of see that even people that probably never watched basketball or people that did watch basketball but weren't really a fan, we kind of were all affected by the tragedy. And you can see that he inspired so many people. So what exactly do you feel like really stood out about Kobe that inspired you as a person?
Like I was saying, Kobe was of my favorite basketball player, but I had other favorite players as well. I'm a big Ronaldinho fan, soccer player. For those who don't know, so Ronaldinho passing would have been a sad story, but it would not have affected me that way.
Yeah.
Really, I could say that Kobe was like the only celebrity, I guess, that I really care on a deeper level, because Kobe and I, we like, he represented more than just a favorite athlete to me. Because in fact, whenever I would talk to people about, being a Laker fan, being a Kobe fan, and they're like, yeah, I mean, I could do with the player, but he looks so arrogant. And I'm like, yo, Kobe, the person, is so much better than the basketball player, but
Mm-hmm.
y'all don't catch that
Mm-hmm.
because his attitude on the court was so, damn, and it was so demonstrative on, how furious and intense he was. People just attached that to being his personality, but it
Mm-hmm.
was just like a really nice dude. And
Yeah.
it wasn't until I started following him closely that I would
Mm-hmm.
see, like, the same dude that he tried to break on the court, it will
Right.
pull him to the side and like, yo, work on this, work on that, do this, good job on this and
Right.
that. You're like,
He
what?
was like a
That's not the
mentor.
same person,
Yeah.
right? And so, and that's really what Kobe was about. And so, whenever a lot of people, connect with him on the fact that he is probably one of the hardest working human being
Right.
to ever walk this earth, and also his dedication to his craft.
Mm-hmm.
My connection with Kobe was more so on learning how to study greatness,
Very important. Yeah.
because Kobe would be the guy that studied films, and he would go into, like, filmmaking. And
Right.
that was another connection that I have with him too, because I'm like, yo, Kobe's passionate about
I was gonna
documentary. And
ask you
I'm
about
like,
that. I
yo,
was like,
that's my field too. And so
yeah.
I was kind of like learning from afar
Right.
what he was doing and how he was approaching it, because what I appreciated about him was the way he studied greatness. So
Right.
he would watch the best people at whatever field and really learn what makes them great and implement that into what he does.
Yeah.
And that's something that I was taking from him. And so that's how I would, break down music
Hmm.
when I need to, record. That's how I break down movies or documentaries that I watch.
Mhm.
That's those. So just learning how to study greatness and
Yeah.
pick up the pieces that are important, that are vital into becoming a great in any field possible. That's that's one of the things that I was learning from him. So overall, what makes his passing so sad and touching to so many people is that you saw someone who wasn't perfect,
Right.
but you saw someone grow and you saw someone work his butt off to reach the
Mm-hmm.
the highest levels possible.
Right.
And anybody, whatever you do for a living, you could
relate
find
to him.
inspiration, you
Inspiration,
can
yeah.
definitely relate to Kobe.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, thanks for telling us that, because I feel like what the world is, I mean, what you saw basically is basically what all of us kind of saw in terms of the inspiration behind, his work ethic, and the way that he interacted with so many different types of people. Like, it wasn't just about basketball. I think he took it beyond basketball, and that's what kind of like inspired so many people, so many of us. So I don't know, like, do you feel like, what, like, if we don't take one thing away from, because I know that we wait until a passing of someone to kind of see
Can
what
I
exactly.
can I touch on the beyond basketball part?
Yeah, go
Because
ahead.
to me, that was actually my, like I said, I really don't care about celebrities like that at
Right.
all. Like, if you know me, I live in a bubble. Like, I live
Yeah.
in my own universe. Anybody around me knows that. So, like, I'll
Definitely,
watch people,
guys.
I'll take notes from whoever that I
Mm-hmm.
can learn from, but that's it. It's
Mm-hmm.
not that deep for me. The beyond basketball part was
Mm-hmm.
where I started to connect
Right.
on a deeper level with Kobe, because like I said, his interest in,
Filmmaking,
storytelling.
storytelling, yeah.
Storytelling, that was a big thing for me.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I've actually never spoke about that. I actually had a plan to work with Kobe.
Wow. I wanted you to
And
meet him. Honestly, guys,
that's where I guess that's really what
this.
crushed me. So listen to this. My first short story was on homelessness in New York City. Was it
Okay.
New York City or the whole city of New York? But that was my first short story.
Yeah.
And one project Kobe and Vanessa were big on was fighting homelessness in California, especially Los Angeles.
Wow.
And so I'm like, so I've done a short story on homelessness. Kobe is passionate about this. He and his beautiful wife, they're already working on this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm going to do a project
And probably send it over.
here. I'm going to do a project on homelessness in California or in Los Angeles involving kids, and I'm going to use his books to provide to those kids.
Wow.
Gonna create a story around that. I must send it to him, and I'm like, yo, that's gonna move him because we kind of like think alike. And I know I mentioned that to you a couple times. Like,
That's his daddy.
I watch interviews, and I'm like, and you would tell me like, yo, it sounds just like you. Like, it's stuff that I would say,
Right.
and I watch interviews of Kobe
Guys.
just saying the same thing, and so it's like in my mind, I'm like, yo, I knew how to move this guy. So if I get this documentary,
You would have
put
thought they were
together-
really close, but they were close in spirit.
the first, so no, but seriously
was
though,
kinda
like I had
scary,
this whole
like-
thing figured out. Like, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna use Twitter. I'm
Yeah.
gonna use my connection to get this to him. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I know once I do, the kind of guy that he is,
He will
I'm gonna
definitely
get a
reach out.
tweet, and I'm like, yo, if Code tweet me, if he calls me,
It's it.
trust
That's
me,
it.
ain't just gonna be that one call, or just because he's gonna feel like he's talking to his clone. That was
is scary.
But that's really what that was my whole plan. And I'm like, and I know if I have him by my side, like if I get to work with him, man, that's a scary thought, because I'm like, yo,
I know.
the way we are both obsessed over small details. I mean, dude has a show called on ESPN Plus called Details, and the way we both obsess over details, I'm like, yo, if we get to work together, and I felt like it was gonna happen.
Yeah.
And so that's why
I feel like it was
still-
too. Honestly, I feel like it was met. I feel like that's why this was a little bit more devastated, because I feel
Yeah.
like this was somebody that you were like really working. Like, I could see you grind and be like, yo, one day I'm going to make sure that,
Yeah.
Kobe sees this, my work, and we kind of could collaborate on something. And
Because what it
honestly,
was,
that was,
we were both passionate about the same thing.
Yeah.
Storytelling. That's one of my biggest passion. And so I felt like, okay, this is my opportunity right there. This is my muse. And I have ways of, getting him to become a mentor for me.
yeah. 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 So to kind of like conclude with what you're saying, I really want us to like kind of look at this, and I know that most of the time we usually wait for like a big tragedy or a death to kind of get us back into the um man, let's grind feeling, or man, life is too short. That's when everybody want to say life is too short, and we should be doing this, we should be doing that. But I really think that this should be the perfect opportunity to kind of see what exactly that we need to work on in our lives, and what are the things that we're passionate about, and give it a go, and actually have no regrets, and basically have nothing stop us. What advice would you kind of tell our viewers about, if their purpose, about things that they want to accomplish in their life, but yet they're still dormant about it?
Don't cheat the process.
Wow, that's deep.
I
Yep.
mean, don't cheat the process, and I really wanna expand on that because we are living in a such time where people are obsessed over how
Quick
things
results
look,
and quick
quick result, and
results.
how things look. So you have a lot of Instagram entrepreneurs. You have a lot of Instagram, Facebook, Twitter money makers. People care more about how things look.
Mm-hmm.
Herb was the guy that was in the gym over and over, and there was no camera there,
Yep.
working over the small details. So if you commit to the process, you're gonna get result.
That's
And
right.
this guy truly lived that.
Yeah.
One of the main reasons Kobe was so popular in China, like people saw the work ethic and they're like, we can relate to that. Someone that works just harder than everybody else.
Everybody else. Yeah.
Not and Kobe didn't stop working when he got to be the best player in the league. He
Yeah.
was working even harder.
Harder.
And
Yeah.
if he saw you working a little bit harder, a little bit earlier than he, man, I gotta top that.
Yeah.
And so
He was obviously a great competitor. He was.
oh yeah, but
Yeah.
that's
He was very
really
competitive.
that's
but
really
never
the
competed against.
one. Actually, the other thing about Kobe is really the way you treat people stays with them.
Yep.
The way you treat. I remember the first story of I heard of Kobe actually being a nice person, not this arrogant dude that the media tried to portray him to be. Was he was in Boston,
Yeah.
day off in Boston, walking, I believe, and some dude trying to heckle him, and he's just like, "Hey man, how you doing?" And the fan was in shock, like, "Yo, did Kobe just say hi to him while I was trying to heckle him?" And he was actually telling the story on the radio, and it was like, people think that I'm gonna go out there and I'm just like, whoa. And it's like, no, that's me on the court.
Yeah.
That's me on the court. Like when I'm on the court, I'm trying to break you. I'm trying to tear you to pieces.
All right.
But outside of that, like, no, like I want to see everybody doing well.
Yeah.
And the third thing that I learned from Kobe, and that's for everybody out there that have some level of success. Yo, pass it on. Pass it on to the next generation. I know I have a background in music, and that's something that's big in music. Where in music, if you play a certain way, if you have certain level of success, you're supposed to kind of like keep it for you because that's your secret sauce. And clearly, that dude, I mean, Kobe was. I remember watching Kawhi going off, and I'm like, yo, that's Kobe. Kobe was really training a lot of those dudes in the NBA.
Right.
And he also would call. I know this famous clip of D-Wade just recently talking about how Kobe would call him and like, yo, this is how they guarding me, and I know you're good at that. What do I do?
Right.
And so the man
So
was
he was also humble enough
to learn from
other people.
And
Yeah,
also,
that's important.
share
Yeah.
openly, whatever he had to make sure that, one way or another, he was just.
You're never too big to learn.
Yeah,
basically.
and Cobb was just like
is nice.
obsessed about motivating people and seeing people really maximize the potential. And that's why I think that it was a great way of, launching
Hmm.
the point of view podcast, because that's kind of like what we're here to
What
do,
we're
is
here to
to
do.
like
Yep.
really empowering you guys and seeing how you guys can maximize your potential, maximize what's
Maximize.
inside of you, maximize what's around you, to really um be the best
Best
version of
version.
yourself,
And
as we
to
say.
conclude, I wanted to start with a quote of the week, but this is going to be the quote of the week, and it's going to be one from dear Kobe, and it reads: "The most important thing is to try and inspire people so that they can be great in whatever they want to do." I think
Yeah.
that's gonna resonate with all of us. And do you have a challenge of the day, a challenge of the week? Because with this podcast, we want to make it that we're not just talking about things, but we want to challenge you to go out there and actually be your best self. And with that being said, we're gonna always have a challenge of the week for you to do, and we would encourage you to actually tell us how they went, whatever it is that we challenge you to do. You can share it with us, and we might also share it on the podcast to kind of motivate. We could motivate each other. Do you have a challenge of the week, maybe that you want to share? Mm-hmm.
My challenge of the week will be Mamba mentality. I want you guys to approach, even just whatever you're doing right now, approach it with the Mamba mentality, which is to stay focused, stay committed, and go hard. Don't cheat the process. Don't leave don't leave out any details. Just pick any area of your life that you want to work on for this year. Approach it with that absolute fearless attitude and that absolute high intensity. Try that and you'll see the result, because that's something that again connected me with Cope, and that's something that I applied in my daily life. So that is something that I want you guys to try and do and see, what the result are, because I think you're gonna like it. Again, rest in peace, Kobe. Mamba mentality, Mamba forever.
All right. Thank you
That's how
so
we do.
much. Thank you so much, G. With that, we're gonna conclude our first episode of Point of View. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we also want you to know that we are going to be on every platform. So please make sure to go follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, like our page, The Point of View. Also, you can visit us at the Point of View podcast.com.